Got this? Yeah. Okay, so my name is Abhimanyu. You have seen me a couple of these times. I'm from the Quiklrn team. I lead the business for the firm. And along with me, my team members are there as well. You know them so far. But let me quickly introduce themselves once more. I think it's always nice. So we have got Ashwani. We have with me. Ashwani, would like to.
Good afternoon. Yeah, hi.
Yeah, so for all
Thank
the
you for joining.
queries, yeah, so we have a couple of people over here who have been helping you out throughout 24/7 on many of the things around deployment. And then we have got Netra along with me as well.
Hello
Netra,
everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the session.
yeah, and then we have got Kavitaji, our content lead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi everyone. Warm welcome to you all for the session.
Okay, and then we have Gautam here with us. Gautam, could you hear me? Gautam, you're there? Just 1 second, hold on, please.
I'm sorry, my mic was muted. I'm there very much. Yeah, thank you. Good
Okay,
afternoon.
Gautam, so
everyone.
everybody knows Gautam. We have been taking these sessions for the past almost like 3-4 weeks. Gautam and I, and along with our team, you know all of us. Now, before we take it forward, as always, we have put all of you on the mute. We request you, whatever queries you have, you could post it in the chat, right? And additionally, we'll be taking up the queries at the end of the session. There's a large group. I could see 65 people who have joined in so far, and we expect many more people to join in as well. So, in the interest of time and effort, this is the practice what we have been following. All of you will put on the mute. So, any queries you have, you could put it in the chat box, right? And we'll be taking this up at the end as well. Now, Ashwini, if you can just share the screen with, I could do that as well. Okay, sure. Just hold on. So what's there on the agenda for today? Let me just show my screen. Okay, Gautam, let me know when you share the screen, when you see my screen.
Yeah, we can see the screen. Yeah.
You could see the screen. So this is session number 4. We have taken a couple of these sessions in October. This is session number 4 happening on 6th of November. What are we going to speak today? We're going to see now. Okay, this is the agenda. We're going to cover 4 things. It's as always. There would be a hands-on overview of the features and the tools. How to use the English Lab. That is point number 1. And then we're going to cover nuances and in-depth coverage of job interview readiness. That is point number 2. As always, I think we covered this in the last time as well. We have created a facilitator guide, a one-stop shop kind of a document which serves the purpose of the trainers and all the stakeholders. A very, very detailed kind of a document which says that for each topic, what are the concept activities, what are the practice activities which we want the students to go through. And then we're going to conclude with the English Lab login process for people who are yet to learn about how to log into the English Lab so far. But I believe most of our stakeholders, most of the teachers, most of the library people, and most of the other people from the system, they are already aware of logging into the English Lab process. Yeah. Okay. Now, before we proceed, we have been seeing. Okay. So you know about the deployment process. Many of the institutions have already shared the student data with us, but there are 2 sets of people with whom we are still engaging. One are those colleges who are here to share the data with us, and we request those colleges to share this data using this Google form or the QR code. Right? For somebody, any college who's there, whose representatives are part of this forum, we request them to share the student data with us using this. You could, there's a QR code here. You could take a pic from here. You could even use the Google Form link. So Netra, if you could put the Google Form link in the group, so that so that they could pick it up from there. If anybody, otherwise, feel free to take up the QR code from here. Secondly, the colleges who have already shared the data with us, And as the admission process is ongoing, few additional students whose data is yet to be shared, please go ahead, use the same forum. I mean, use the same link and share the incremental over and above the additional data what you have, the student data what you have. So we could take it up, and you share it with the way you've been sharing with us, and we'll take it up from there. Okay, that is the very very key point. Ashwini, I think anything else you want to add up?
No, that's it.
That's it. Now over to Gautam. Gautam, I'm just stopping my screen. You like to go? Would you like to go into the second point?
Right. I think we've got a lot of queries coming in. So I think at the back end, we'll be answering your queries. So
Yeah.
each and every query will be answered. Right. I won't be answering these queries because, yeah, that will again, come in the way of this entire session. But then at the back end, our team is going to answer your queries. Okay. So those of you who have your hands up, what you can do is you can put down your query in the message, in the chat box. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Unless you have something to say and something nice to say. Okay. Okay. Right. Fine. Yeah. So please share your queries in the chat box, and let's go ahead with the session. Yeah. Okay. Great. So again, we're going to start with a quick overview. Abhimanyu, there's a lot of echo. You got to mute yourself. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Wonderful. So we'll start with a quick overview of the lab. I'm sure that some of you might have already gone through the overview, but then I'm sure that there will be some new attendees who might be interested and who would benefit from understanding the structure and how to use the English lab. So now my voice is echoing. Asif sir, I think it has stopped echoing now, right, sir? It was echoing because there were two mics that were on. Asif sir, could you just confirm whether it's still echoing? Or anyone else? If it's echoing, just tell me that it's echoing. If it's not echoing, just tell me it's not right now. I know that a few moments back it was echoing, but is it echoing again? Asif sir, Mohammed Asif sir. Uh, okay, I haven't got any confirmation. Uh, okay, your voice is right. Any confirmation from anyone? It's clear. Very good. Very good. It's clear now. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Mohammed Asif sir, thank you so much. Yeah. So, yeah, that was echoing initially. Why? Because there were two mics on, I think. Yes. And there was that duplication of sound. Okay. What I was saying was what's on the agenda? Quickly, fast, an overview of the lab, the English lab. Second is how to use it, of course, right? I'll show you the flow and where to find what to find, right? I'll also give you an example of some activities and some lessons using one of the modules. And finally, we'll take a look at the skills. Yeah, thank you. It's fine now. Yeah, we'll take a look at the Facilitator handbook. Yeah, it's a very handy handbook. The sole purpose of the Facilitator handbook is to help you make the best use of the English lab. Okay, okay. So I'm getting a lot of responses now that the voice is not echoing. So thank you so much for that. Now I'm going to share my screen and take you directly to the dashboard. So just hold on. Is the dashboard open? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I'm sharing my screen. I've got to remember to share the sound. I'm sharing the sound. So here we are. Okay, that is the facilitator guide. Now, this is the communication skills program. So as you know, there's also a soft skills program. This is the communication skills program. We'll focus on this for now today. We'll focus on the second part, soft skills, later, some other day. The first thing is when you log in, this is going to be a landing page. So once you've successfully logged in, and Ashwini is going to take you through the login process. In case there are some of you who are still not familiar with the login process, don't worry. Ashwini is going to take you through the login process at the end of today's session, so that's not going to be any trouble for you at all. So once you log in, this is the landing page that you'll find yourself at, right? And I want to draw your attention to the column on the left. As you can see, there's a tab, there's a link about the lab. So this is some information about the communication skills lab. I'm sure all of you know about the lab already, but then you can read this just to understand what the focus of the lab and the objectives are all about. And then you see there is the Know Your Level test. So the Know Your Level test is an assessment test. All students, I'm sure that most of the VTU students across all the colleges have written the Know Your Level test. In some of the colleges or the colleges that you are from currently, uh, your students might or might not have written the test. But if I,
Hi,
uh,
Gautam.
yeah,
This is Abhimanyu here.
yeah,
There's a this I saw a this message that your voice is feeble. If you can speak a bit
my
slowly
voice is
and a
feeble.
bit more loudly.
Is it
Yeah.
still feeble, Abhimanyu? Is it feeble at your end also?
Now I think it's but for us it's not far because there's a good
See,
audience.
if it's,
356 people. 356
huh,
people. So what you can do is that if you can speak a bit slowly and a bit more
I'll
loudly, a bit louder.
I'll speak loudly. I mean, I'm speaking as loud as I can. I'll try to speak louder. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, okay. So, yeah, I hope I'm audible. I've got a bad cold, so that might be another reason why. Yeah, but that doesn't explain the feebleness, no, because it's not feeble. It's more coarse than feeble, but it's okay. So again, where were we? We are looking at the left column, the column on the left, where you have access to the different parts or the constituent parts, the contents of the communication skills lab, right? At the very beginning, you have about the lab, which is some details about the communication skills lab. And then comes the Know Your Level test. The Know Your Level test, most of your students must have already written the test, right? Is where your students begin the communication skills lab. They begin by writing the Know Your Level test. In case you get to know that your students have skipped the Know Your Level test, do ensure that they write the Know Your Level test. That's the very first thing they have to do. And what's the purpose of the Know Your Level test? It's quite simple. It's the very first assessment test that places your students at a certain CEFR or competency level. Now, CEFR is the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. I'll just show it to you once, right? So as you can see, uh, CFR level pre-A1. So somebody who writes the test is going to be placed on a certain CFR level. So you've got A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2. A1 and A2 are very basic levels. So if somebody has been placed in an A1 on an A1 or an A2 level, that essentially means that the student's hold on English is quite feeble. It's very, very basic, very fundamental. And then you have B1 and B2, which means intermediate. So B1 and B2 is a good thing, but it essentially means that, okay, there's a lot of scope for progress, you know. You are at an intermediate level of skill, and of course, you need to work towards a higher level. And what's the higher level? C1 and C2. C1 and C2 essentially means that you've got an expert hold on language, which comprises of writing and speaking and listening and reading. So students are placed on a CFR level, and the sole purpose is to help you, again, the facilitators, understand where a student stands, and you can use the CFR scores to guide the students towards, you know, suitable lessons and suitable activities. Now, when I show you our activities, you'll find that we've got easy activities, medium activities, difficult activities. Students who have scored on a lowest range, A1, A2, right, could be directed towards the easier activities. Some students who might have scored a B2, right, they could benefit more from the medium level activities or even the harder activities. So knowing where your students stand is going to let you make those crucial decisions of how to direct your students, you know, which lessons and which activities should they primarily focus on. Okay. The second thing is once the student has written the Know Your Level test, then begins the learning, right? As you can see, communication skills has got 5 modules. Module 1, communication skills. Module 2, interpersonal skills. Module 3, English for employability. Module 4, English in the digital world. Module 5, applying for jobs. Now, we don't have time currently to take you through all the modules. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to focus on one module and use that module to understand more about the lab. Okay? So, but then of course, all of you, I request all of you earnestly that please explore the modules for yourselves, know exactly what's there in module 1, what are the lessons, what are the topics, what are the activities, and do the same for modules 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? For this session, as an illustration, I'm going to focus on module 5. Okay, so what is module 5? As the title suggests, it's applying for jobs. Now, every module will have 3 distinct components. Okay, so when you click on a module, be it module 1 or module 2 or 5, right? There's going to be one thing common to all the modules. You'll have 3 distinct parts or 3 distinct steps. As in, you've got concept building, the very first step. You've got practice activities, the second step. And you've got the module test, the third step. Now, these three constituents or components are common to all the modules. Now, let's understand what is concept building. Then let's understand what do we mean by practice activities, and then let's understand the role of the module test. Okay. I'll click on concept building. Now, when you click on concept building for any module, right, you will see that concept building, again, has been split into certain topics. Now, what's the overall focus of module 5? Applying for jobs, right? So now think about it. Applying for jobs. What comes under applying for jobs? Job interviews, for example, yeah? That's the very first subtopic. Resume building and SOPs, second subtopic. Reading comprehension. How is reading comprehension under applying for jobs? Because reading comprehension is a very integral part of the placement test, and the placement test is very much part of applying for jobs, right? And then there is grammar, vocabulary, and the purpose statement. Again, right, grammar and vocabulary, you have the application of grammar and vocabulary on the placement tests, which is again part of applying for jobs. And again, right, just to speak well, to speak confidently, right, to articulate your thoughts, you need good grammar and vocabulary. So that's how all the subtopics make up module 5, applying for jobs. Now, when you see that a certain module is split into certain subtopics, all you have to do is click on a certain subtopic to go to that particular concept. So I've clicked on job interviews, right? And I have gone to the concept building part of job interviews. Now, what you see here is what we call an interactive book. It's an interactive book. Why? Because, again, right, this is not a book that you passively read. It's a book that you actively engage with, right? Why do we call it an interactive book? Let me give you an example. For example, I am learning about the importance of interview preparation. I have got some notes here in the form of a presentation, the importance of interview preparation, and then, right, I have got some exercises or some questions to answer immediately. Let's say video conferencing. If I'm looking at some notes on video conferencing, as you can see, I've got an activity immediately following it so as to reinforce. It gives me an opportunity to reinforce my learning. I need to have some water. I feel a cough coming. Yeah, thank you. So what makes it interactive is that there is no passive consumption of information, right? There is active integration of the concepts with, some basic questions that help you reinforce your learning and tell you that, you're going in the right direction. Because if you get the questions correct, essentially means that you've absorbed the concepts. Another way we build concepts is through our uh, very popular concept videos. Now, again, these are interactive concept videos, interactive in the sense students interact with the video through questions they have to answer in the course of the video. I'm just going to play this once and we'll understand how it's interactive and why it's important, for the video to be interactive. I'll just play this once. This is around behavioral and competency questions. So at the very beginning, we have the menu. The menu is where you can select a certain concept that's part of the video and directly go to that concept, right? And I want to learn about the STAR method. It's a very useful tool. So let's find out what's the STAR method and how is it important for interview preparation.
And the star of the show is the STAR method. This is how you're going to answer the behavioral and the competency questions. STAR. Now, what do they stand for? S stands for situation, T for task, A for action, and R for result. So when your interviewers ask you a behavioral or a competency question, here's what you have to do. You first describe a situation that you were in 1 or 2 sentences. So talk about the situation. And then you move on to the task. So describe what you had to do in the situation. And then you talk about the solution or the action that you implemented to come out of the situation. And then, of course, and finally, the result. What was the result that you achieved? Now, always remember, never describe a negative result.
Okay. So I hope you're paying attention, right? The STAR method is a useful way to organize your answers when you're answering behavioral or competency questions, as the video just explained. Now, as the student is watching, right, there'll be a question that will suddenly pop up, as in this question. When using the STAR method to describe a successful project, the result should only focus on quantifiable outcomes, like increased sales or reduced costs, excluding qualitative impacts, like improved team morale or customer satisfaction. Now, if the student has been paying attention, and if the student has understood the STAR method, the student knows that no, you should have quantifiable outcomes, but you can also talk about qualitative impacts. So the answer should be false, let's say. Yes, right? So while quantifiable results are important, limiting the result section to only numbers neglect the valuable impact of qualitative outcomes. So what's happening here? Again, the student is being tested on the concepts being taught immediately. The student has to answer this question before he or she can continue and watch the rest of the video. If the student answers the question correctly, the student can continue. If the student answers the question incorrectly, the student can learn from the feedback and then continue. But the essence is he or she has to answer the question before, again, they're allowed to, sorry, watch the rest of the video. Okay, again, I got to have some water, sorry. So now, so this is what concept building is all about. So for all our modules, all the topics, right, are taught using student-friendly presentations, engaging, again, integrated with questions, and again, a very popular concept videos, which are interactive. Now, I want to draw your attention from concept building to the practice activities. So I'll just close the other windows once. Okay. So once concept building happens, right? So the purpose of concept building is very clear. You're building your concepts, right? You're building a foundation. But unless and until you have ample opportunities to apply those concepts, then real learning doesn't take place. And again, skill building doesn't happen through reading or through watching a video. That's the foundation. Skill building, real skill building, happens through practice. So I want to show you some practice activities around job interviews. So I'm going to go to the job interview practice activities. As I'd mentioned, right, just focus on the column on the left. As I'd mentioned, you've got easy level activities, you've got medium level activities, and you've got hard level activities, right? And again, if you know that a student is struggling with basic English, guide the student towards easy level activities. A student is a little more competent, guide the student towards the more challenging activities. For now, I'll show you an activity that is AI integrated, right? That takes a lot of responsibility and work off your shoulders, that gives students immediate feedback as to what went right and what went wrong and what should be done to improve, that response. Now, preparing for interviews, I'm sure all of you would agree, right, would require the student to practice answering interview questions. So I'm going to go into an activity that does just that. So let's go to, yeah, interview mastery. Now, interview mastery, just a second. Yeah, right. Now, interview mastery is, again, it's an AI integrated activity where students have to actually respond to an interview question in the manner he or she would do in an actual interview. So I'll just show you one question and I'll quickly take you through the entire process of how to do such an activity. Now, the first step is to understand the question. What is the question here? How do you handle situations where you receive feedback that you don't agree with, right? So I click here to answer the question. So when I click on the link, I'm taken to this particular screen. And here at the beginning, there are some instructions, some pointers, that the student should make herself or himself familiar with. Understand the question, plan your answers, speak clearly, be professional, minimize distractions. And once the student is ready to answer the question, what's the question again? How do you handle situations where you receive feedback you don't agree with, right? The student can click on the start button. What else do you see on the screen? You see the target speaking time. The student can speak up to 2 minutes. It's not necessary to speak for 2 minutes, but the student can speak up to 2 minutes. Up to 2 minutes of a response will be recorded. The student should speak at least 60 words. And there are some target words: listen, react, respectful, that are relevant to the response that a student is advised to use in her response. So I'm the student here, right? I am going to just play the role of, yeah, guys, a little low. Okay, thank you. Right. So let me be the student here. I'm going to answer the question. I'm going to keep it very short because I want to focus on the feedback process. Yeah, how do I handle situations? Yeah, I, uh, don't really find myself, in such situations because normally people agree with me. I am a team player. Thank you. Okay. So I've given a very quick answer. Now, from the student's perspective, it's very important that the student knows, right, whether the response given was acceptable, was not so acceptable, right? What went wrong with it or what were its strengths? Right? A student usually is clueless, is clueless as to what a good response usually is. Unless and until, of course, the student has got feedback on some responses. Now, the student has to submit the response here. Before the student submits the response, there is a model answer the student can listen to. I'll just click the model answer. We'll listen to it just for a few seconds.
Well, I try to listen without reacting immediately. For instance, a professor had marked my assignment
Yeah,
down.
so that's a model answer. The student can listen to it. It's a little long answer, 40 seconds. But then I want to, focus on my response. How did I do? Was it a good response? Was it a poor response? Right? How was it? Now, as I have submitted my response here, what's happening is at the back end, the AI tools or language learning models, right, are getting into action. Now, our faculty team or the team at Quiklrn, right, the content team, we have fed certain key instructions into the AI tools, the language tools, to assess, different aspects of a response. Now, in an actual interview, the interview is going to focus on certain parameters: confidence, relevance, structure, right? Uh, whether the question was concisely framed, it was structurally sound, right? Whether there were certain examples, right, that helped the student point out certain qualities, that the student has, right? So certain parameters that interviewers generally focus on, and the AI tools are focusing on the exact same parameters. Which ones? I'll show you very soon. But the feedback is here, right? I've just got 1 star. So I'm quite disappointed. Why have I just got 1 star? So let's find out why I got 1 star out of 5. What you see here is my words. These are my exact words, right? So I used a lot of yeah. I used a lot of, how do I handle situations, right? And then what happens is the first level of feedback corrects all the problems with my language if there are some language issues or users issues. So yeah, how do I handle situations? Now I shouldn't be saying yeah, right? I shouldn't be saying yeah in an interview. That's quite unprofessional. So instead of yeah, how do, the system is telling me say when, right? Say when I receive feedback, right, that I don't agree with. Now whatever you see in red are my words highlighted, right? And there are some problems with those words. I shouldn't use those words, right? And whatever you see in green are the suggestions made by the system. So instead of saying, yeah, how do I handle situations? Yeah, right? The system is telling me, say instead, when I receive feedback that I don't agree with, I try to handle it by first listening carefully. So the first level of feedback is a direct correction of all the mistakes I might have made. These could be grammatical mistakes, usage mistakes, and so on. The second level of feedback is around the different parameters that we were talking about. An interviewer assessing this response would look at relevance, would look at organization, would look at the tone and professionalism, would look at communication and conflict handling, would look at self-awareness, growth mindset, impact and outcome, and so on, right? And I just want to draw your attention to point number 3. Do you see this? Use of the STAR method, right? And that's the video that we just watched, right? So let's find out how does this response perform across the parameters. Relevance, off topic. It was not so much about handling feedback because I never talked about handling negative feedback. I never talked about it, right? So the structure was not there. Did I use a star method? Did I give an example using the star method? No, I did not, right? Was my tone professional? The tone was casual and did not demonstrate professionalism. I used a lot of you knows. Did I show some understanding of communication and conflict handling? No. Did I show some awareness, self-awareness and reflection? No. Right? What about growth mindset? Let's read the feedback. The response did not show a growth mindset or value feedback as a learning opportunity. Right? What are some suggestions for improvement? Include a specific example, use the STAR method, and demonstrate a professional tone. Now, this is the beauty of such an activity. And this is, again, what makes, I've used, again, but that's okay. I'm just having a conversation with you, right? This is what makes practice and such practice where students actually speak so effective. A student knows exactly what went wrong, what was okay, what needs improvement. A student has suggestions, and all these are very practicable suggestions. The students can, you know, one by one work on all the suggestions and reattempt the activity and hopefully get a better response and grow in feedback and grow in confidence. Sorry, right? The student can also look at the CFR level that particular response has garnered. A2, not so good. I should look for a B1, preferably a B2. Why not C1, right? That would be great. My relevance is 30%. Words per minute is 102. 130, 120, right? That's usually advisable. I can speak a little faster, though not very fast. So I've got certain metrics, I've got certain data that I can use to improve. And at any point of time, right, I don't need, right, a faculty member's feedback to help me understand, right, what went wrong and what is the next course of action that I should take. Now, my request to you, all faculty members, librarians, is that try these activities once for yourself because your students would be doing a lot of these activities. Try these activities once, right? Look at okay, what sort of feedback that you get. Look at the parameters that the question is judged on for that particular question. And if you have an inside out knowledge of these activities, what you can do is during the lab sessions, when the students come and practice, you can direct them to some of the activities that you feel will work very well for that particular student. Now, in the instruction manual, in the facilitator's guide, we have given suggestions as to, right, in the lab session, this should be done, that should be done. Of course, follow those suggestions, but you can always tailor it, for a specific student based on your understanding of the strengths and weaknesses of the student. You can always guide that student to some other activities too that you feel that the student would really benefit from. So again, my request is please explore the practice activities, especially the AI activities, right? Be very comfortable as to how they work, and you'll be in a great position to guide the students, right, whenever they need guidance. Okay. So again, this was all about practice activities, right? This was step 2, right? Practice activities happen through uh, uh, AI integrated tasks, right? A lot of gamified activities are also there that you could explore later, right? Now, I would like to focus on the third step. The third step is the module test. So once your students have completed the concept building part, have done most of the practice activities, at least the suggested ones, the students should write the module test before they move on to the next module. The purpose of the module test is to integrate, there are lots of topics under, for example, module 5, applying for jobs has reading comprehension, job interviews, some grammar, some vocabulary, right? So everything is integrated and everything comes together and is tested on the module test. So the module test is something that the student should be expected to perform well on. And if you see that your students, let's say a student has not performed well on the module test, please use that, as a red flag and get that student to go through the concept building and the practice activities and reattempt that particular module test again. Okay. Um, Now, it's 3:07. It's time to move on to the next part of the agenda. I just need to drink a little water again. Sorry about that. The throat is drying up very fast. Okay. So now we're going to take a look at the communication skills facilitator guide. And I'm going to take you directly there. And yeah, unless, of course, okay. Yeah, so are we ready for the facilitator guide? Let's go there. Okay, so yeah, this is the instructor's handbook or the facilitator's guide. There's one thing that I forgot to tell you, but I'll highlight it using the guide here. Now, most of you, of course, would be keen, to identify certain aspects or certain topics or certain tools that you feel would be the most useful for some students. So in that context, I'll just take you back to the dashboard once, right? What we were looking at is module 5, right? Now, module 5 was all about job interviews, right? Important concepts, the STAR method, and so on. Now, if you look at module 2, similarly, what is module 2? Module 2 is interpersonal skills. Again, you see concept building, practice activities, the module test, right? Why am I highlighting module 2? This is where you're going to find, the other skill building topics and activities around group discussion, professional presentations, reading, self-introduction, debates, and so on. Now, self-introduction is a very key part of interview preparation also, because one of the very first questions they ask is, tell me a little about yourself or introduce yourself. So again, explore the modules, right? Module 5, for example, interview skills, right? But students shouldn't jump to module 5 directly. Why? Because you've got module 2, right before module 5, that talks about self-introduction, right? That talks about group discussion, professional presentations, and so on. So the order of the modules that you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's important that your students follow the order, because there is some relationship between the modules, and completing one module, would set your student up well for the next module and the challenges part of the next module. Okay. Now, using module 2, I'll just show you as a facilitator, how could you guide students right through a certain module? So using the example of module 2, I would like to show you, the instructor's handbook. Now, how the instructor's handbook is going to help you, let's say, right, make the most of module 2, okay? So, for example, next week is module 2, module 1 is done, right? So what am I supposed to do as far as module 2 is concerned? You can, of course, go to the dashboard, explore module 2, but what you could do first is use the instructor's handbook and take a good look at module 2. So where's module 2? Module 2 is here in Annexure 1, module 2, page number 20. So let's go to page number 20. Okay, where's page 20? That's 14, 17, 18, 20. Great. Now, how every session has been planned, every session has been planned in a certain way, right? As you already know, there is concept building, there are practice activities, and then there is the module test, right? Now, for concept building, it's not possible that every concept, right, can be learned in the lab because this is a time-consuming phase. There are a lot of concepts that students can learn on their own before they come to the lab session that focused on the module 2 topics. So as a facilitator who wants to have an understanding of module 2 and who wants to understand what's the best way for students, to consume module 2, this is your answer. Okay, this is where you get all your answers. So what's module 2 about? Interpersonal skills, right? Now, every module has been split into concept building. Now, in the case of the instructor's, the facilitator's handbook, right, you will find that concept building has been mostly relegated to a pre-class activity, right? So a pre-class activity essentially means before the student comes for a particular lab session, the student has to complete certain concept building tasks at home, right? Or before the lab session, right? So module 2, interpersonal skills. So what should the student do at home? Watch the video on self-introduction, watch the video on idioms and phrasal verbs, go through the notes on body language, debates and idioms, and do certain easy activities. And that was for self-introduction, debates, idioms, and so on. And similarly, we have some tasks for group discussion and some tasks for professional presentation. Now remember, we are talking about the pre-class work. And we've thought that 3 hours would suffice. So student has to spend a good amount of time, right, going through the concepts in the pre-class phase. Now comes the in-class phase. The in-class phase would be essentially the lab phase, and where you have a very active role because you will be overseeing the entire process. So when the students come in for a lab session, let's say it's a 45-minute lab session or a 1-hour lab session, right? What activities should the student do? And here you've got some suggestions from us, right? For example, for self-introduction and workplace context, right? I speak in idioms. Students should do an activity, I speak in idioms. Students should do the AI integrated activity, introduce yourself with impact. So here you've been told exactly, right, what to tell the student as to, okay, you've got 45 minutes. I want you to spend 10 minutes on this particular activity. I want you to spend the next 10 minutes on the AI activity introducing yourself, and then I want you to spend 15 minutes on something else, and so on, right? So you have a minute by minute, right, breakup, not necessarily minute by minute, but let's say an activity by activity breakup of what the students are expected to do in the lab session. And where will you find that? You'll find that under the heading facilitator led, right? So what have we learned till now? We have learned that there is pre-class, right? There is in-class essentially facilitator-led, and the students and the facilitators, right, have been advised, or as in, there are certain tasks or certain activities that we've clearly directed you towards so that you have no confusion as to when it comes to directing the students. Okay. And then comes after after, let's say, the in-class bit, right, your role would be to give some homework to the students. So what you could do is you could assign some of these activities from in-class or some of the activities from even pre-class and ask the students to complete those activities at home, depending on how the students have performed, right, at a certain task. For example, a student has done the activity, introduce yourself with impact, and not got a great score. You could tell that student that, okay, I want you to go home today and I want you to do this activity again, till you get at least a 4-star out of 5. And you can come and talk to me about it tomorrow. So that's how the entire facilitator's guide has been planned. It's planned in a way that will help you guide your students towards some pre-class action, some in-class action, and some post-class action. Okay. As far as the rest of it, I would advise you to just go through the guide once. It's very helpful. It tells you exactly, right, about all the things you'd like to know, right, the approach that we have taken, right, the design and mapping, the constitution of every module, right, the facilitator's role, and some best practices for implementation. And then you have the module-wise breakup, the session-wise breakup for pre-class, in-class. Okay, wonderful. So I'm done with my part here. What Ashwini is going to do now is she's going to help you understand the login process. And yeah, I'm going to hand it over to her. Ashwini, if you're there, yeah, over to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Ashwini is here with me. Yeah. You could hear Ashwini? Ashwini?
Yeah,
Can
yeah,
you hear
yeah.
me?
Yeah.
Let me share my screen now. First, we are going to just watch this small video which will explain the login process for the students. Even in the last session, we have shared the YouTube link with you all in the chat, so you can forward that to the students. We are going to post this YouTube video link today as well. Please do copy that and share it in the student groups. That is what we request. Now let us just watch the video. Many of you might be already familiar on how the students will access the lab, and we are seeing all the colleges are already using it. But in case if someone is still not clear on how the students should log into the lab, or if you have not shared student data with us, you might just be not familiar with the login process. So now let us go to the live login process. Firstly, what we have to know is that the English lab is browser-based access. The lab will not be accessible through the app. So we recommend students using the Google Chrome browser only, so that everything is smooth there. They'll be able to access it properly.
The key point you said is that it needs to be accessed on the browser only.
Yeah, correct. This is only through the browser. It will not be accessible through the app at all. So now you have to go to our website, Quiklrn website, which is home.quiklrn.com. This is the URL you have to enter, home.quiklrn.com. After going to our URL, this is the home page that you will see. And please do note the spelling of the Quiklrn, Quiklrn. Once the student has landed to this page, he has to go to the resources and go to the VTU English Lab. This is the dedicated login we have created for the VTU students. So you see this top menu bar. From there, you have to select resources, and under the resources, we have to select VTU English Lab. And we saw that many of the students were clicking on the login button here, and they were saying that they were not able to access. So many of the students were doing this mistake of going to the login instead of resources. So what we have done now is to make it easier for the students. Under the login button also, you will be able to see the VTU English Lab login. The students will have to click on the VTU English Lab. Again, if they click on the portal or anything else, they will not be able to access the English Lab. the students will have to click on the word VTU English Lab itself, whether it's under the resources or the login. So they can log in under the resources menu or the login menu now. Both the ways will work, and they have to click on the VTU English Lab only. Now, after I click on the VTU English Lab, I have to enter my email address and the password. This password is a common password. We have shared this password with the principal and the librarian to every college who for the colleges who have shared the data with us. So the students will have to use that common password. And I think most of them are having doubt that the students are not getting the credentials from us. Please note that we are not sending any student credentials directly to the students. They are not getting any mail to them from Quiklrn. When we register them, maybe they'll just get the welcome mail. From that, they will not be able to log into the English lab. After the deployment, we have shared the deployment details, that is the admin credentials and the student process in the common password to you. Every college will get it to the principal email ID and the librarian email ID. So you have to take the credentials from that particular email, and the students should use that common password. That common password should be told to the students by the librarian or the English faculties themselves. We will not be sharing the common password to the students. So please do note that. Now, after I've entered my email ID and the password, I have to check this box to accept the terms and then click on the login button. After clicking on the login button, they will directly land here, and the students will be able to see their college name as well here. You see this Quiklrn college here, right? Because I'm using the demo ID. The student will get their college name here. And if I'm whether I'm com skill or soft skill student, I can just click on the start course button for that particular course, and I'll be able to access the content. Now I'm just clicking for communication skills. So yeah, this is the page, and from here they will be able to access all the modules and the know your level test and everything. So they can access soft skills or the communication skills. And what we recommend is that the student should access the course from their laptop or the desktop, because the experience will be good using a laptop when they are studying. But in case few students are using the mobile, I think few of them have that query as well, where what to do. We just got a query in the chat. So this will be a sample mobile screen, right? When they go to our website, you see this burger icon. The menu that we were seeing at the top in the laptop will be under this burger icon on the right side top. Click on this burger icon and you will see again resources and login. Same process you can just follow. They have to click on the resources, go to VTU English Lab and enter their email ID password and continue. It will just that the login button is directly not visible on the screen. They have to click on that burger icon to get that menu, because when you are seeing the same website on the screen, it is under the burger icon. That is what we have to note. Yeah, I think we did get a query from the AGMR college. Ma'am, I think you had written to us to support@quiklrn.com. We have also shared re-forwarded the deployment details to you. Please, I think from that you will be able to send the student, see the student details and the password and everything. And this is the login process. I hope it's clear for everyone now. If you have any doubts, please do let us know in the chat. We will try to resolve it. Now we have the login process under two buttons, resources and login both, but the student should go to VTU English Lab login itself. Ma'am, I was just saying that you had written to us, right, to support@quiklrn.com. We have re-forwarded the deployment mail to you. So I think you had some query about the deployment details. So we have re-forwarded that mail to you. Last 2 minutes. Oh, okay. Let me just reshare my screen. So what I was trying to explain was, if the student is not trying to access the lab from the laptop or the desktop, if they're trying to access it from the phone, we got a query that what they have to do after the screen. So this will be the website. If I enter home.quiklrn.com on my mobile phone, this will be my screen. So to get the login, just click on the burger icon on the right side top of the screen, right? You see this burger icon here. Just click on that and you will see the same menu items here as well. You will see resources and login. You can just click on the resources and go to VTU English Lab. From here again, the process will remain the same. Just that the UI will be little different from laptop to the phone, right? To the websites. That is the thing, yeah.
So yeah, so it will show like you have not enrolled to this course.
Put it on the
Yeah, I mean, Syed sir, if you can, Mr. Pasha, if you can send us a query on support@quiklrn.com, we'll quickly reply. Pasha sir, hope you could hear me. Yeah, so thank you. Now, any other query? Could we unmute the button? If anybody wants to have the query, I mean, most of the queries and all the, I think today's session number 4, most of the queries have already been solved. But if you could, we are unmuting this for the next